Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. In this series, we are going over LeetCode problems. And today we're looking at a medium problem, and that is LeetCode 134 gas station. The problem states there are n gas stations along a circular route where the amount of gas at the ith station is gas I. You have a car with an unlimited gas tank and it costs I of gas to travel from the ith station to its next station, so I plus 1. You begin the journey with an empty tank at one of the gas stations. Given two integer arrays, gas and cost, return the starting gas station's index if you can travel around the circuit once in the clockwise direction. Otherwise, return -1. If there exists a solution, it is guaranteed to be unique. So for the solution, what we're looking for is we're given an integer array of the amount of gas that's available at each station, and the next integer array cost is the amount of gas that it's going to take to get from gas station I to the next gas station. And so we'll want to make sure that what we have in our tank can help us get to the next station. Now, sometimes there might be an instance where what what is currently available at that gas station is less than what it's going to take to get to the next gas station. But if we have our tank, maybe we have gas stored in our tank that we can pull from and help us get there. So the other part down here that it mentions is it wants us to return -1 if we end up not being able to complete that circular route. So how we're going to solve this is we're going to keep track of a variable that's which represents what gas we have in our tank. And as we continue on through this route, we'll just put the gas in our gas tank and subtract it whenever we're moving on to the next gas station. Okay, so let's start with that. And what I'm going to call that one is tank. That's what's in our current tank. And the reason why I bring up the second portion of returning -1 if we can't make it all the way around is in order to make sure that we are not just we go to the first station and then we try to we iterate over that array, and then we go to the next station and then we try to iterate completely over that array. What we're going to do is we're going to iterate once, and as we iterate once, we're going to keep track of the total gas and cost that it takes to get to all the way around the array. And at the end, if we find that the total gas in our tank is not, after subtracting the cost that it's going to take to get to next stations, if that ends up being less than 0, that's what's going to determine that we cannot make it. There would be no index in that instance. We wouldn't need to continue iterating. We just need to keep track of the total tank. So I'm going to call that total gas. And then the last thing we want to track is our starting position, because that's what they want us to return. And so we'll keep track of that as we iterate through. Okay, so we are going to iterate through this array. I is equal to 0. And as we're going through our array, we are increasing our tank based off of gas I minus cost I, because that's what is available, and then we're going to have to subtract the amount of gas that it's going to take to get from station I to its next station, right? And I'm just going to we'll call it gain. And in some instances, we might have more gas than what it costs, so then that's why we're storing that extra in the tank. And as we're iterating through, we'll go ahead and update our total gas. And we're also going to update what's in the tank, right? And now we want to check, is what we have in the tank enough to make it to the next station, or have we reached a negative point? If it's less than zero, now if it is less than zero, we're going to want to update our, that means that that starting position doesn't work for us. So we're going to have to increase our starting position. So we do this I plus 1. And then we're going to reset what we have in the tank to be 0, right? But we're not going to reset the total gas because this is just checking as we go along, can we continue to make it to the next gas station? And if we get to the very end and we cannot make it to the gas station, or we can't make it through, like our total gas ends up being less than 0, then that's when we're going to return -1, right? So after we've iterated through our entire loop, our entire array, we'll go ahead and return that. And we'll say, is our total gas greater than or equal to 0? If so, we want to return that starting position. That means that there's plenty of gas to make it around, and we can, the first index that we found that did that, that because it's a um, unique solution, we'll just return that one. Otherwise, if it's not, return -1. Okay, we'll go ahead and run that. And we see that our test cases have passed. And this solution, since we are only iterating over the array one time and we're keeping track of our gas, that's going to give us a time complexity of O of n. And that is it for the gas station problem. There's a brute force solution that is O of n squared, where it just does not keep track of the gas. It just goes around checking the next index and restarting completely from the next index. But if you have another solution or if you have any questions, feel free to comment below and I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.